everyone, welcome back to the Automotive Logistics and Supply Chain Red Sofa, where I'm joined by Lizette Gracida, who's leading on external affairs and trade compliance for Toyota Mexico. Lizette, it's so lovely to have you back on the Red Sofa.
Oh, thank you very much. Likewise.
Always insightful, and because so much is always changing on the trade policy side, and we always have a lot to talk about. On that, you just joined us on stage talking about how Mexico can stay competitive in the supply chain. And what, from a policy point of view, what are some of the key priorities you would set for the government and in the policy environment to maintain that competitiveness?
So, more than policy, what I would say that the industry needs at this moment is certainty. That is the magic word. The industry needs certainty in terms of clear rules and no sudden changes. For example, the current tariff context is creating a lot of or a great deal of uncertainty in the business environment, whether tariffs will increase, whether or new tariffs will be imposed, or how long these tariffs will be in place. Also, the USMCA is this review is creating a lot of uncertainty because we don't know how the negotiation will unfold and how long will take to the parties to reach an agreement. That's in terms of trade, but within Mexico we also have, or we are also exposed to these sudden regulatory changes that go from regulations, or this type of matters, to constitutional reforms. And of course, this type of changes impact the auto industry as a whole. So we have seen changes in the customs law that we discussed just in the panel that are really concerning for an industry that exports 80 or 85% of the local production overseas, specifically to the US. So having stricter controls and regression of the flexibilities that the industry got for more than 20 years is concerning. So what I should recommend to the governments to prioritize is to give the auto industry and the whole private sector regulatory predictability, which means workable rules and realistic timelines, so that the auto industry and the private sector, again, can really operate under true legal certainty.
Yeah, you raise really important points there. As you say, USMCA will talk about the proposition that potentially more tariffs on non-FTA, countries without an FTA, the customs law, which has in many ways been regressive, as we've spoken about. So thank you for raising all those. I think that predictability is something the whole industry can agree on. If we look to the USMCA review, now, we don't know what's going to happen. We can caveat anything we're saying with that. Nobody knows. But as we go into it, hopefully go into it soon, what are some of the key things for automotive that we should be considering right now? What are some of the key concerns or issues that you expect to be raised either by the US or in the negotiations?
So the first thing that I would like to say is that the automotive rule of origin under USMCA is the most stringent rule in any trade agreement in the world. Mm-hmm. So trying to increase the requirements of the rule of origin will really impact the competitiveness of not only the industry, but of the whole region. Now, having said that, in Toyota, we have been working diligently to comply with each one of these requirements, and I'm proud to say that we are complying with all of them. We have been working also with our suppliers to make sure that the whole supply chain is in the same situation. However, the industry understands that there are certain matters that will be demanded by the US, and it's publicly known. So I'll say that the first one is the increase of the regional value content. Second, the potential inclusion of new components within the key parts section. Third, the stricter labor provisions specifically for Mexico. And fourth, the elimination of the Chinese components within the supply chain. So I understand that, and also the US content that we have also discussed. So we understand that these are concerns, and these would be, there are intentions to get some of these matters within the review addressed. But in our review, and having faced these new requirements since 2020 and the efforts and the investments that all the auto industry has to do to comply, it looks very complicated to meet more stringent requirements. And again, these, if are put on the table, should be analyzed very strategically so that it does not hurt the competitiveness of North America vis-a-vis other countries or regions.
And that's something we talked about on stage. Mexico and North America need to remain competitive in the global context, not just the local or regional, to mitigate other competition. But on another key point that we'd also talked about in terms of sort of non-tariff barriers that the U.S. also raised, I think these are also key aspects we might expect. And there's also public knowledge. The U.S. Trade Representative has put forward things on areas like rule of law and other policies. These are areas that I guess the government needs to address first before we start the official renegotiations as well.
Absolutely. So there is the document of the non-trade barriers, but as you are mentioning, there are other topics, such as the rule of law and so the reform to the judiciary, I don't know, or other topics that Mexico must address if it wants to ensure a seat at the table in a good timing, and also to have level condition during the negotiation. Yes. Yes.
Well, hopefully when we're here together next year, we'll have had some certainty on that. But again, let's see what happens in the coming months. If we turn away perhaps from the trade side and other areas that the government and the industry should look to invest, or perhaps even invest together, perhaps in areas like infrastructure, energy, what would you sort of set as priorities from a Toyota and industry point of view, considering again we're at a supply chain and logistics event?
So, and I am, this matter, we have explored this matter in depth during the past events, and to be honest, Mexico remains behind. And this is because over the past years, public resources have been directed to a specific presidential projects, and the result is that investments for new infrastructure or improvement of current ports or roads or the availability of clean energy remains with very low advance in general terms. So I think that, and I would reiterate what I have said in the past, is that Mexico needs to work jointly with the private sector on developing and implementing logistics, I'll say an infrastructure master plan that has specific milestones and long-term objective, and also can identify what are the critical bottlenecks and what are the key areas in which Mexico needs to invest. So as the clean energy matter, as we have also discussed, this is key component, not only for global companies as Toyota, but for local companies that are already committed to decarbonize their operations. So if there is not a sufficiency or availability, it will become an issue, and it will hurt again the competitiveness of Mexico.
Absolutely, and unfortunately, I think, as you said, we we have talked about that over several years, and perhaps it's a mark of lack of progress. But we need to keep pushing
Yes.
in this direction. And maybe just the final thoughts as we look ahead to the next years. Key and on stage, you talked about a vision of almost even a customs union. There's different areas maybe we can explore. What would you like to look ahead? What are some of the key milestones you'd like to see achieved again as an industry to work together to achieve and meet this competitiveness that we need to maintain in Mexico?
So first, I would like to see certainty for the whole auto industry, but also I would like to see evolution in the discussions that we are having, because the current trade framework maybe is exhausted, and we need to think in different type of integration. And as we discussed on stage, maybe evolving to a customs union that allows better integration and alignment between the three parties, and that will also put a path towards deeper integration would be a solution, and would be a model that provides stability and certainty for the whole auto sector. Yeah.
I just love the idea, so I wanted to make sure that we share it, and even if it's one that is a vision for now, but I think makes absolute sense to bring in this alignment and deepen that integration. Lizette, thank you so much as always for joining us and sharing these insights. Like I said, the situation remains dynamic when it comes to trade and compliance. I'm sure that will be the case, but we'll be keeping track with you along the way. And thank you so much for joining us on the Red Sofa as well.
Thank you, a pleasure.